Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Primary Market Chatter. We are getting started. Just to set up the agenda for everyone, we are going to be talking about 10 companies today, and it's going to be a slightly comprehensive review. We'll talk about one main board listing, which is Diffusion Engineering, and then we'll talk about nine SMEs, which are going to hit the markets next week. And quite a few of them are closing tomorrow. So just make sure that you kind of get the read right, and then also do your own research before applying and not just go by our read. What we try and do is that every week we come and talk about the companies. Which are coming across and then give our view of these companies. So just to set up the agenda, we'll be talking about diffusion engineering and then nine SMEs, and then uh, we'll be we'll also cover a bit about the Hyundai IPO. There's been a huge drop in GMP, and then we'll also be speaking about Manba Finance, microfinance. Listing day strategy as well at a very high level, but that's what we are going to be um, majorly covering. Just to highlight that if you guys miss any of the reviews, what we'll try and do, and maybe this is a request for both Rohit and Tanmay and Yash while he joins, is that when you guys are speaking about the companies, just try and take a bit more names in between so that people who are joining in between understand what companies we are talking about and are able to follow through. If you miss anything still, just make sure that you follow the YouTube channel. We will put the dates with respect. We'll put these reviews on this channel as well. And what I've done is I've also posted the channel link in the chat box as the first comment, and I'll also put it in the profile here so that you can follow. You can see this YouTube channel, and follow it. We'll also try and post it today itself so that you have enough time to go through the companies at your own leisure tomorrow and then decide basis that. But having said that, maybe we'll now get started. So we'll start. So maybe just setting it up for Tanmay. Diffusion Engineering is a mainboard IPO, which is Diffusion Engineers, in fact, is a mainboard IPO which is closing tomorrow. And it's a very small IPO, 158 CR IPO. So maybe Tanmay, do you want to very quickly cover what does the company do and what is your read of it?
Is my voice clear?
Yes, very clear. आपका mic ठीक हो गया?
Yes. So Diffusion Engineers is a leading manufacturer of welding consumables, wear plates, wear parts, heavy engineering machinery for core industries like cement, sugar, uh, for all these industries. It provides reconditioning solutions for increasing the efficiency for machinery equipment. मतलब बेसिकली ये क्या करता है कि जो हेवी इक्विपमेंट्स मशीनरीज होती है इंडस्ट्रीज की, तो वो धीरे धीरे डिप्रिसिएट होती है, तो उनको ऐसे सॉल्यूशंस प्रोवाइड करती है कि वो डिप्रिसिएशन की ना हो और जो मशीनरी है वो नॉर्मल कोर्स ऑफ टाइम जैसा एफिशिएंटली वर्क करे. सो दे आल्सो प्रोवाइड finished machinery. They also provide wear plates. मतलब this company started as a wearing as a welding consumables. So they forward integrated it with wear plates, are now they have done one more forward integration with advanced machinery. तो क्या होता है, जो छोटी कंपनीज होती है, it's not feasible for them that you take welding consumables, then you process it and you then apply. So it's better for a small company to directly take the wear plates or the heavy equipments at a reasonable rate than upgrading your bad machinery. So this company is basically raising 158 crores. उसमें से ये 71.4 crores capex कर रहे existing facility in unit number 4 in Nagpur. 30.4 crore is been allocated for a new manufacturing facility. 22 crore is for working capital and 34 crore is for general corporate purpose. So diffusion, after doing this capex, the capacity will be almost double or a bit more than double. जो स्पेसिफिकली नंबर्स दिए नहीं, बट व्हाट मैनेजमेंट सेड इन द इंटरव्यू वाज हमारा कैपेसिटी डबल होगा, थोड़ा सा उससे ज्यादा ही रहेगा, एंड वी कैन ट्रांसलेट दैट इनटू डबल ऑफ रेवेन्यूज. तो एंड दे हैव आल्सो सेड दैट वी विल बी कमिशनिंग आवर कैपेसिटी इन नवंबर 25, मतलब अगले साल के थर्ड क्वार्टर में इनका नया फैसिलिटी कमीशन होगा. Now we'll come on the financials. FY23, this company did 255 crore and PAT they did of 22 crores. And in FY24, they did a revenue of 286 crores and PAT of 35.6 crores. इस 35.6 करोड़ में 4 करोड़ के अदर इनकम है जो अगले साल रिपीट नहीं होगा, तो वो आपके कैलकुलेशंस वो पी वगैरह में एडजस्ट कर लेना उतना. FY24 व्हाट आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग इस, देखो इन्होंने वर्किंग कैपिटल का अपने को न्यूमेरिकल्स दिए हुए हैं, तो उसके हिसाब से द कंपनी इज प्रोजेक्टिंग दैट दे विल बी डूइंग अ रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ ऑफ 23 to 26% in FY25 as per the data given of working capital in the RHP. मतलब वर्किंग कैपिटल का रिक्वायरमेंट देख के और एडिशनल जो 22 करोड़ रेस कर रहे हैं, इसके हिसाब से देख के अपने को हिंट आ जाते हैं कि अगले साल कितना ग्रोथ एक्सपेक्ट कर रही है मैनेजमेंट. तो इसके हिसाब से 22 से 26% ग्रोथ है. तो और इनका ऑर्डर बुक भी है, दे आर हैविंग, मतलब इनका जो 3 बिजनेस वर्टिकल है, वेयर प्लेट्स एक है, वेल्डिंग कंज्यूमेबल एक है, एक हेवी मशीनरी और एक ट्रेडिंग का बिजनेस है. ट्रेडिंग का बिजनेस इनका अराउंड 8 to 10% ऑफ द रेवेन्यू है, एंड रिमेनिंग ऑल 3 आर क्लोज टू 30%. मतलब इनका मिक्स बहुत सिमिलर है, वेल्डिंग कंज्यूमेबल्स, हेवी और वेयर प्लेट्स 30-30-30 है. तो वेयर प्लेट्स और हेवी मशीनरी का इनका ऑर्डर बुक होता है, बाकी सब इन्वेंट्री वाला बिजनेस है. तो इनका जो ऑर्डर बुक फॉर द हेवी मशीनरी एंड वेयर प्लेट्स कंबाइंड इज 145 करोड़. जनरली 5 to 6 मंथ्स में एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं. मतलब सब पकड़ के चलो कि 3 महीने जा चुके हैं, ये करंट ऑर्डर बुक है, और उसके बाद 3 महीना रहेगा पोस्ट completing the existing orders. So the management is saying that we will be doing a 20 to 25% CAGR for next few years. तो this company, ये कंपनी का एक खासियत ऐसा है कि they started a small welding consumable company, electrodes manufacturing में they were basically since inception. So this company has a successful track record of doing forward integration and increase the ticket size with their existing customers. और वो जो इनका फॉरवर्ड इंटीग्रेशन होता है, इससे ये अच्छा रेवेन्यू जनरेट कर पाते हैं. So this company post capex is intending to go into complex and heavy engineering, and they are also targeting to do specialized welding consumables. Now these are 2 more forward integration of the existing products. ये और 2 नई चीजें कर रहे हैं. By the way, they are entering 2 new sectors. पहला, they are going into mining, so they are going to provide specialized abrasive solutions for mining. And the second one is a bit interesting. They are doing specialized wear solutions for defense industries. मतलब defense industries में बहुत बड़े बड़े heavy equipments होते हैं for manufacturing, तो उनके लिए ये वेरेबल सॉल्यूशंस और सुपर कंडीशनिंग सॉल्यूशंस प्रोवाइड करेंगे. करंटली इनका 2% रेवेन्यू, आई थिंक 2.3% रेवेन्यू डिफेंस से आता है. ये शायद इनका 2 साल में टिकट साइज बढ़ेगा यहाँ से भी. सो ओवरऑल अगर मैं देखना चाहूँ तो आई गिव दिस कंपनी 25 मल्टीपल ऑन FY25. तो ये कंपनी का पीयर कौन आएगा, तो पीयर इसका एक्चुअल में एम्पल टू एम्पल देखो तो कोई नहीं है. अ बिट रिलेटेड पेयर कैन बी अडोर वेल्डिंग which is trading close to 29-30 times, but the reason behind its multiple is ये अभी एक उनका ग्रुप कंपनी ऐड और फॉन्टेक करके उनके साथ मर्जर कर रही है, स्टॉक रिसेंटली भागा है. बट वो भी जनरली अगर मैं मीन पी की बात करूं तो 25-26 पे ट्रेड करता था. और ये अगर कंपनी का मैं पैट में से अदर इनकम निकाल लू जो 4 करोड़ का नेक्स्ट रिपीट नहीं होगा, तो उसके हिसाब से वो सेम पी पे आ रहा है, 25-25 पे आ रहा है. बट ये कंपनी का कैपेसिटी डबल होगा, 2 साल का रनिंग इनका अच्छा रहेगा, और 25% का सीएजर डिसेंट. मैनेजमेंट बहुत अच्छा लगा मुझे पर्सनली, और एंकर बुक में भी अच्छे नाम है. एंकर बुक में अच्छे नाम है, जैसे छोटे नाम है बट अच्छे नाम है. तो HDFC AMC वाले प्रशांत जैन का है, उनका 3P फंड है. दूसरा है HDFC के 2 फंड, उसमें से वन इज देयर डिफेंस फंड विच इज द लार्जेस्ट एंकर. तो आई पर्सनली फील दैट दिस कंपनी will deliver small to reasonable listing in like 20-30% kind of, but it's very good investment for 5 years, 3 years, 7 years kind of perspective. I am not considering this company just for a 6 months or 1 year bump. तो ये लिस्टिंग इनके बाद एटलीस्ट 6 से 8 महीने का अर्निंग कवर कर लेगा. सो मेरे लिए ये कंपनी एक रीजनेबल काइंड ऑफ आईपीओ है, और ठीक आईपीओ है. LM इज यूनिस्टोन, नोन टू डू, उनके जो लिस्टिंग होती है प्रीमियम्स के हाफ होती है. मतलब उनका ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड वैसे पिछले 10 में से 8 आईपीओ प्रीमियम्स आधे पे लिस्टिंग हुई है, तो उसके हिसाब से आपको रिएक्ट करना है. ओके, सो दैट्स ऑल. अच्छी कंपनी है, कैन बी अप्लाइड, डिसेंट है, सब कुछ ठीक है.
Got it. Just that one thing from my end again, listing allotment would be very, very, very difficult because it's a very small IPO and like just 150 CR IPO, right? So expect something slightly lower in terms of IPO numbers as or similar to Manba Finance only, उससे थोड़ा सा कम होंगे क्योंकि काफी ज्यादा पैसा KRN में फंसा हुआ है. So because of that, the numbers might be slightly lower, but again, and the GMP is also like slightly lower for this one. So the numbers might be slightly lower, but again, since it's just 150 CR, will be very difficult to get allotment. Did you happen to look at the anchor list and any rough idea or read of the anchor list?
यस सर, HDFC डिफेंस फंड है, HDFC का नॉर्मल फंड है, प्रशांत जैन का 3P फंड है, और आई थिंक हाँ एक दो और कुछ तो नाम है, बट डिसेंट एंकर, मतलब साइज को देख के ठीक ही एंकर, ऐसा बहुत नॉर्मल वाले ऐसे भी नाम तो नहीं है, ठीक ठीक बोलूंगा मैं.
Got it. So that was our read of Diffusion Engineers. Diffusion Engineers की बात कर रहे हैं. अगर आपने ये कॉल बीच में ज्वाइन की है, so definitely go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel at the top. We will put our review there as well, ताकि आप उसको भी सुन के fundamentals एक बार जान सकें और उस हिसाब से comprehend with your study and basis that take a apply or a not apply decision. With that, we'll now move to SMEs. There are like 9 SMEs coming in, and quite a few of them are interesting. कुछ interesting plays भी हैं, so should be very interesting session. Maybe we'll start with the one which is the most awaited and one which is the most complex. Thankfully, Rohit has taken this one, so maybe we'll talk about Sahasra Electronic Solutions company. Its IPO is also closing tomorrow. It's a big size IPO, 186 CR IPO, out of which 172 CR is fresh issue and 14 CR is a OFS. And the company essentially is in ESDM, electronic system design and manufacturing, and it's something which the theme at least has been very hot. So with that, and it's a Noida-based company, maybe I will hand it over to Rohit. Do you want to go ahead and cover Sahasra Electronics? Give your read.
Thanks, Manish. So yeah, let me take up Sahasra. As Manish said, this is a big issue. It is also a fairly complex issue because of the entities involved. So let me take a crack at it. So it's a 186 crore issue. Majority is fresh, almost 172 crore is fresh. Now the thing here is the promoters have a few different entities in this segment. One of them is, of course, Sahasra Electronic Solutions Limited, SESL, which is the entity that is coming for an IPO. They have another called Sahasra Electronics Private Limited, I think, SEPL, which is a group company and is not coming for the IPO, and there is some, relationship between these entities. And then there is a semiconductor subsidiary, which will be part of the IPO because it is a 50% owned by this company, or will be post the issue. You're able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this company, SESL, which is the one which is coming for the IPO, is in the ESDM space. That's basically electronic system design and manufacturing. This company primarily makes PCBAs, which is PCB assemblies, for which they have 4 SMT lines, which is this technology to make PCBs. It's called surface mounting. Apart from this, they also provide some finished products on a white label basis. This will be stuff like SSDs, solid state drives, memory cards, USBs, LED lights, and so on. Part of the funds that this entity is raising is to set up a larger SMT line in Bhiwadi, which is an electronics SEC zone. And currently what setup they have is in Noida, which is also an SEC zone. I'll come to this in a moment. Apart from this, like I said, they have a 50% ownership in a subsidiary, or they're going to have 50% ownership, once this issue goes through, in a subsidiary which manufactures semiconductor chips. This is not the semiconductor chips that, say, with AI and stuff. That's a very different technology. This is the type of chips that you would see used in, say, an LED light, for example. The nature of capex that one would do in a PCB kind of business and a semicon chip kind of business will be very different. So that's why I think they have a separate subsidiary here. And here they have, it's been a couple of years since they set this up. They've done a lot of trial production and they're ready, as per the management, to actually start production here from November of this year. So far, this particular subsidiary is in loss, but that's because they've only had costs and not really had much revenue, and that should change going forward. Now, the origin of this company, which is SESL, is that so this business had SEPL. They then acquired a petroleum company in an SEZ for the SEZ benefits. Now, that's the way SEZs work. You have to acquire a company. You cannot just enter there. You cannot just buy land, for example. You have to acquire an existing business. That business happened to be doing petroleum trading. They had acquired this business with the intent to set up, semiconductor, sort of SMT lines. But initially, for the first few years, they continued to operate as that petroleum business. They're saying that that's because of some sort of soft reasons. But in 2019, they decided to finally shut down that petro business and come to the original reason for acquiring the company, which is to set up the SMT line business in that SEZ and take the benefits. Now, today, they are, my understanding or my best guess is that SEPL, which is the original entity, is not in an SEZ. SESL is in an SEZ, and that is the business they are bringing to the public markets. And that is the business they kind of want to continue and, sort of scale as a business because of all the benefits that it will get. So at the moment, about 87% of the business is from PCB A and about 13% is from other categories. And 80% of the business is from the US, which is via export. Most of this comes from one related party entity called Optima Tech. Again, here the idea, while it can just look very off, the idea here is that that company is just a front with American employees so that the local clients have comfort. But as such, the company operates as Sahasra does all the hard work and all the operations is done. And that is just a front. So I don't think you have to worry too much about it being a very, very high related party transaction kind of business. So today the capacity utilization is around 55%. So there's plenty of scope for growth in the near term. Plus the capex is also being used to significantly improve, sort of scale. So I don't think there will be any capacity related constraints. The other interesting thing is the company is eligible for under two PLI schemes. One is an IT hardware industries PLI scheme, and the other is for this subsidiary, the LED driver ICs, which they're setting up. And this will have a 4 to 8% impact just on the revenue basis, 4 to 8% incentive they can get based on them meeting certain targets. Again, we don't have specific details on this, but you can see that this will have a direct bottom line impact for the next, I think, 5 to 6 years. The financials are excellent. Revenue is 100 crore plus, which is growing about 50% year on year from last year. 32 crore PAT. If you remove the loss-making part, it's still about 30 crore, 29, 30 crore PAT. Margins are very high. Now, one question many people naturally have is such a margin sustainable? How can such a business exist with 32% margin? We had the same question with Aimtron recently, which came with a 26% EBITDA, and people were doubtful, but the market has kind of absorbed that, and the company still trades as per its peers. And the fact that Aimtron also had a similar kind of structure operating with a US entity, making a bulk of the sales. I don't understand it fully, but I think the market as a whole seems to have sort of absorbed it. So I feel that this is still okay. Cash flows are okay. It's kind of break even. There's no concern in receivables as such. But one point to note is the company did pay a big dividend last year, almost 11 crore dividend, for which they had to take a loan, a short-term loan, which is a bit strange. But at the end of the day, the company is still heavily profitable. So I think it's okay. I think to each their own. You guys have to make up your mind on this. So on the whole, the sector is, in the spotlight, a lot of government push. The government wants, I think, triple or quadruple this by this entire segment in the next 4 years or next 6 years or so. So I'm pretty sure the best companies here will grow at 40 to 60% year on year comfortably. And the market kind of factors that in the multiple that they're willing to give. And I don't see why necessarily this company will be any different. I think I just had two concerns. One was the PAT margins, but I feel the market will kind of overlook it. And the second was the relationship between SEPL, the original entity, and SESL, which is the new IPO entity. And at least personally, I'm just trying to figure out what has happened with SEPL, and is that, it shouldn't be that just revenue is being transferred from SEPL to SESL. So that's something that I'm also trying to find out on the side, but I don't have an answer to that yet. But apart from this, the business is coming at 24p, which is extremely attractive. We've all seen what, multiples the sector gets. It's all north of 60, 70p because all of the companies in this segment are growing at breakneck speed. There's probably the best anchor book that I have seen in an SME IPO. The two funds with the top two allocation is Sunil Singhania's and Ashish Kacholia's with Bengal Finance India ahead. There are 26 different anchors. And the interesting thing is most funds just have 1 CR allocation. So I feel that's actually quite smart because it should lead to more buying on listing, since the funds that are interested will have to add to their positions because they will otherwise have very small allocation. And I think that will naturally sort of lead to, good buying on listing day as well. Plus, apart from these investors, there are very good investors in pre-IPO as well, with Madhu Kela there in his personal capacity. Negan is there in pre-IPO. Sunil Singhania is also there in pre-IPO. So the quality of the investors is seriously something else. So in my view, there's enough tailwinds, enough, for this biz to thrive. There's a lot of value left on the table as well. So I personally will be applying. I think I might target this on listing as well.
Very, very comprehensive review. Thank you so much, Rohit. A couple of questions from my end. Can you just walk me through कि इसका PE कितना है? Is it 21 PE or like loss making subsidiary को include करोगे तो क्या PE बनेगा? What PE is it essentially IPO price पे coming at?
Yeah, so it is 24 in my view because you will have to include the loss making subsidiary. See, right now the loss making subsidiary is owned by SEPL, and this once the funds are raised, the equity of SEPL will be transferred to SESL, which is the IPO entity. So you can assume that loss will get transferred to that, whatever percentage, 54% of that loss will be transferred to this. So I think the right way to look at it is 24p. If you just look at last year, just this entity alone, it is technically only 21p. But you know that this is the reason for the funds. And so I feel 24p is more appropriate.
Got it. Helpful. And एक और question था. This is something which I'm picking directly from the chat. So just we are talking about Sahasra Electronics. If someone has joined us in between, any idea on what do you think the rough subscription would be in H&I category, which you think?
Yeah.
Again, this is very complex because कई सारे IPOs एक साथ close हो रहे हैं. So I'm not sure how much you have done the math, but anything that
Yeah,
you
my
have
rough
done so far.
expectation is, see, if the GMP sustains, I am expecting somewhere between 270 to 300x. As long as this GMP or 60-70% holds, because everyone will apply for this thinking it cannot subscribe too much. But if about 7,500 to 8,000 crore comes, which is possible, which is basically most of the money will come to this IPO. Like in Ganesh Green Bharat, which was the last really big issue, which got very heavy subscription, about 8,200, 8,300 crore came just to that issue. So even I feel this has the highest GMP. Even the ones on Friday were not subscribed very high. So if 7,500 to 8,000 crore comes, you can see around 270 to 300x.
Got it. That's very, very helpful. That was with respect to Sahasra Electronics. हमने Sahasra Electronics की बात कर ली है. So just to repeat, we have covered Diffusion Engineers and Sahasra Electronics. And there are a few other good issues as well, which again we'll speak as we go about. But maybe with that, I'll move on to the next issue. I'll just highlight that if someone has missed listening to any of the reviews, go ahead and follow the YouTube channel at the top. उसमें हम अपना review जो है वो आज ही post कर दूंगा मैं late night में. So you can kind of cover the companies there as well. With that, I will kind of move on to a very interesting company next, Divyadhan Recycling Industries. Just to set it up for Yash, the IPO is a 24 CR IPO, all fresh issue, and it's a book built NSE IPO. And the company essentially manufactures recycled polyester staple fiber and recycled pellets. So it's an interesting company from what I could think and read. It seems super interesting. So maybe, Yash, do you want to take forward and talk about Divyadhan?
Yeah, sure, Manish. So Divyadhan Recycling Industries is specializing in manufacturing of recycled polyester stable fiber and recycled PETs. So they have two products in their RPSF, which is hollow and solid uh, polyester stable fiber. So the company manufactures these two products from PET bottles of Coke, soda, water, or other post-consumer PET bottles. Hollow fibers are used in products like pillows, cushions, and quilts, whereas the solid fibers are used in industrial applications like clothing, home furnishing, and insulations. The other product which they make is recycled pellets or chips. The company manufactures pellets using recycled pellets, which are sourced from the same raw material, which is used in creating recycled polyester stable fiber. So the manufacturing process almost same as RPSF. These pellets are used to manufacture bottles or new plastic products such as storing or packaging bottles. These are again used in manufacturing food grade, non-food grade bottles, making them a key player in packaging and automotive industries. The company started, the company started with a focus on sustainability and recycling, driven by the founders' background in engineering, and both of the founders, Varun Gupta and his partners, were uh, in the same university in London. Then they collaborated. They both wanted to do something in India because there is huge opportunity in Indian markets right now in terms of opportunity and the size. So they both wanted to do something which is green and sustainable going forward. So what they did is they were searching and researching what they should do. So they come out with a plan of pursuing this recycling industry and doing something great for the country and overall world. So initially they both didn't have much capital. So what they did is they acquired this company, which was a distress sale, basically in Bhadi. They acquired this company at a much cheaper cost, which is 20-25% of the original asset cost, and then they took forward from there. So the current capacity utilization for their plant is close to 86, 88% from past 3 years. So this gives me an idea that they have spent a good amount of time at optimal levels of capacity, and now they're ready to expand. So they are for expanding, they are raising 17 crores for capital expenditure, with which they will purchase various plants and machinery, which again will be set up at their main facility at Vaddi, Himachal Pradesh. After this, their installation will be expand from existing wash line of 1 metric ton to 3 metric ton per hour. What I really found interesting is uh, that their operating cash flows are positive. Plus, few things to keep in mind is post issue, it's at a PE of 38, wherein the average of peers is close to 50 to 60. We can give premium of positive operating cash flows, having solid background, plus running the capacity consistently for 3 consecutive years at optimum levels. So I think they are good to expand. Plus their background, and moreover the quality that the promoters gives on the table and puts on the table is, I really like that. So I think what my strategy for this company would be कि I'll not apply much. I'll apply as much uh, less I can, because what the issue is, इस साल कुछ ग्रोथ नहीं आना है. दिसंबर तक उनका मशीनरी आएगा, प्लस इट विल टेक 3 months टू सेटअप, एंड मोर ओवर खाली 20-25% ग्रोथ आना है इस साल. तो अभी कुछ भी हाइप होगा शॉर्ट टर्म में टू द प्राइस डजेंट मैटर टू मी पर्सनली. H1 के रिजल्ट्स के बाद सारे शॉर्ट टर्म ट्रेडर्स भागेंगे क्योंकि प्राइस करेक्ट होगा. तो इट विल बी गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर द लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर्स टू पार्क देयर मनी. तो आई थिंक मैं तो यही फॉलो करूंगा कि ऑल्दो आई डोंट अप्लाई आईपीओस, बट इफ आई वुड हैव, तो मैं यही फॉलो करता कि थोड़ा सा अप्लाई करता, एंड आई विल कीप इन माइंड कि इसका रिजल्ट कब आ रहा है एंड प्राइस करेक्शन कब से स्टार्ट हो रहा है, क्योंकि शॉर्ट टर्म हाइप पे तो नहीं लेना है. बट अगर 50 के पी पे भी ये पोस्ट इशू मिलता है तो देन इट्स अ गुड बाय अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, गिवन की कैश फ्लो पॉजिटिव है, प्रमोटर क्वालिटी सॉलिड है, वेल एजुकेटेड है, एफिशिएंटली वर्किंग कैपिटल मैनेज कर रहे हैं, एंड 3 साल सेम ऑप्टिमम लेवल पे फैक्ट्री चलाया है, तो पता है आगे क्या करना है. प्लस मोर ओवर व्हाट दे आर ट्राइंग टू डू इज कि जो इनके सेगमेंट्स हैं उनको एक्सपैंड करके इन्होंने बेसिकली इनका रेवेन्यू डिक्लाइन भी इस वजह से हुआ था कि रिसाइकल फाइबर इनका 99% से 94% तक आ गया था. एंड देन देर आर अनदर सेगमेंट्स विच टुक इन, जैसे रिसाइकल्ड पैलेट्स प्लस ईपीआर सर्टिफिकेट्स एंड पेट रिसाइकलिंग बाय प्रोडक्ट्स. तो ये अभी इसमें कैपेसिटी बढ़ा के देखेंगे कि सबसे ज्यादा आउटपुट किस में आ रहा है, एंड देन उसी को ज्यादा स्केल करेंगे, विच मेक सेंस. दैट्स ऑल.
Thank you, Yash, for covering Divyadhan at a very high level again. It's a very interesting issue. So definitely make sure that you kind of look at it. Just one highlight from my side, it's a Nanolia LM issue. I haven't seen a Nanolia LM issue in quite some time. So keep that in mind while you're applying. Again, I don't think this will list with a discount at all. It should have decent enough listing pop. I think, like, again, I'm not 100% sure where listing pop will sit at, but should have some listing pop. And again, I looked at Nano लिया, शेयर समाधान जो आया था वो Nano लिया था, so I टेक बैक माई वर्ड्स, सितंबर में एक और आईपीओ आया था नानोलिया का. उससे पहले एस्थेटिक था which opened at a crazy GMP and then has been coming down. So again, be careful about this issue in the long term because again, H1 results will be slightly muted. But seems like a good company for a long term view. Just make sure where you are getting into the entry valuation is kind of makes sense. That is what I would be following, but that is what my read of this company Divyadhan was. With that, we'll move on and kind of cover the next company in line. Again, this is a very interesting company, and I felt personally pretty good about this company as well. Although इनका ticker name थोड़ा सा कॉमेडी है, बट द कंपनी इज नेम्ड एज फोर्ज ऑटो इंटरनेशनल लिमिटेड. उसको शॉर्ट फॉर्म देखोगे तो FAIL फेल हो जाता है. बट द कंपनी एसेंशियली इज IPO फॉर 31 CR का IPO है, ऑल फ्रेश इशू है. NSE का IPO है. जो कंपनी है वो ऑटो पार्ट एंसिलरीज बनाती है ट्रैक्टर्स के लिए एंड अदर ऑटोज के लिए. सो मे बी वील काइंड ऑफ टॉक अबाउट Forge Auto. Tanmay, do you want to go ahead and share your read of Forge Auto?
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
So Forge Auto International Limited is a Ludhiana-based forged and machine components manufacturer for automobile industry. They have an active presence in commercial vehicles, tractor equipments, farm equipments. They also have 2% revenue contribution from railways. They are also into hydraulic parts and agricultural parts. So the company is basically raising 31.1 crores, out of which they will be spending 19 crores on working capital, 5 crore on debt repayment, and 7.1 crore on issue expenses and general corporate purpose. So this company did a revenue of 177 crores in FY23 and PAT of 5 crores. And FY24 there was just a 2% growth, 181.6 crore revenue, and PAT was 6.7 crore. So if I saw its capacity utilization, it is around 77-78%. But what can be seen is just before IPO, they have already commenced 5 crore capex in FY24. And the machinery is extremely advanced and efficient, which can drive their margins. So I personally feel that FY24 can be very good. The company is coming at 118 crore market cap. So P is almost 17.7 times, and peers are close to 25-30 times auto components and related companies. LM is Home Securities. Company is looking good segment. Next year growth can be good. Working capital thing will be sorted after the IPO. Debt will be going down 25-30 lakhs. Interest cost saving in maybe Q3, Q4. So I feel it's a pretty good issue. It can list like 30-40%, 20-40%, and for long term, I'm not much because there are much better players available. But I feel it is a safe issue. It can be applied.
Very good short and sweet review, Tanmay. Thank you so much for doing that. एक दो क्वेश्चन थे मेरे, मैं देख रहा था. Again, maybe not a question, observation. Revenue has been rather flat. 165 CR था FY23 में, and then FY24 में 171 CR था. So has the management given any guidance on that? Like what are they targeting? Because अगर revenue
Honestly, sir,
flat है तो
मैंने इंटरव्यूज वगैरह कुछ देखे नहीं है, बट व्हाट आई कुड फिगर आउट वाज FY23 एंड 24 में इनका जो कैपेसिटी था, जनरली 85-83% तक ये इंडस्ट्री में यूटिलाइजेबल होता है, और दे वर आई थिंक 78-80%, तो इतना हेडरूम नहीं था. बट दे हैव ऑलरेडी डन अ 5 crore capex, तो उसके वजह से मतलब आई एम नॉट हैविंग दोज नंबर्स बिकॉज FY24 का मेरे पास कैपेसिटी गिवन है. They have commenced the facility after the FY24, तो वो दिया नहीं है RHP में what number of capacity or how much revenue potential it can do is not, the data is not available, so we can just assume that 5 crore capex is enough to drive further growth.
got it. Thank you so much, Tanmay, for covering that. But in terms of the anchor book, from what I could see, very regular anchor book, right? Nothing which stood out. But again, there's a rather straightforward size of the issue. From what I could figure out also, this company also does a lot of work for Sonalika Tractors, which is one of its client, and a lot of business comes from that. So that's one thing which needs to be kept in mind. Seemed like a good issue, and in fact, like I would go ahead and say we are spoiled for choices tomorrow. They are quite like all three of them looked decent to me, and in fact first को भी थोड़े बहुत decent issues हैं. So should be good to apply for listing, and it will be pretty tricky on how do you want, which issue do you want to go for, considering everyone might be going and targeting Sahasra, so there might be some opportunity others as well. That was maybe with that next one, we are slightly behind him as well. Next company, it's a 20 CR IPO, and again, the IPO is a 20 CR IPO on the BSE exchange this time. BSE exchange पे IPO, and the company manufactures, sales and trades petrochemical products. Bitumen जो products होते हैं उनको trade करती है. So maybe Rohit, do you want to go ahead and talk about Nexxus Petro?
Yes, as you suggested, I will try and keep this short and sweet so we are able to save some time. So Nexxus Petro is a 20 crore fixed price issue, which means that the size of the HNI and the retail quotas will be 50-50%. So they'll be a decent size. This company is a bitumen producer and trader. So what they do, they are a manufacturer and trader. Bitumen is a residue product from petroleum processing, so it's like a waste product. And its primary use case is once it is processed, it is mainly used in road infra. It can be used in a few other things, paints and like some other smaller segments. But for Nexxus Petro, the primary use case is it goes to, finally these road infra players. They have 3 units in Mundra, in Rajasthan, in Gujarat, and Rajasthan and MP, where this untreated or raw bitumen goes through a few processes to create different grades of bitumen, which are then sold. Apart from this, they also do trading of bitumen based on the need. They've been increasing their capacity steadily. They've been improving the utilization as well. They're at about 63% right now. But one thing that was not clear to me was how much of their business is trading versus processing. My sense is a lot of it is trading because of the margins. The margins are extremely poor. So if you look at their P&L, the top line numbers are actually excellent. They're growing very, very fast. Even, from last year to this year, they went from 140 crore to 250 crore, which is almost 65% year on year. But their margins are the problem. They are operating at about 1.4, 1.5% PAT margin. Their cash flows are also very weak, extremely negative, and they are projecting more growth, but just shows you that much more working capital will be needed, on an ongoing basis. My main thing here is there's a very good peer. In fact, I would say there's a much better peer called Agarwal Industries, which is actually a full stack player in this space. So they don't just trade and produce or manufacture bitumen, but they do everything from shipping the actual bitumen when it is produced by the OMCs, say internationally or locally. So they actually have their own shipping vessels. They do B2B sales of that bitumen that they get. They do the final road logistics as well, which is there in the entire supply chain of bitumen. They have an excellent margins, they have very good growth as well, and it trades at 15p. Agarwal has actually been a very good issue if you invested in it, when it came. It's a multi-bagger, but the sector is not getting a good multiple. And so that's my biggest fear here. This is just one part of the chain. They haven't mentioned that they want to get into any of the other segments. So if they continue to be a very thin margin, pseudo trading kind of business, I don't see why the market will pay a high P. Company might grow, and with that it may grow, but I don't see it getting re-rated, which is why, and it's coming at, I think, 20, 21 P. So I find it very expensive at IPO price. Looks like a decentish company for the long term, but I'm not able to see any value in the short term. So I personally will be skipping, but can be tracked for a long-term play if they are able to maintain their growth.
Got it. So that was what our review was of this company that we just covered, Nexxus Petro. इसके साथ हमने चार कंपनीज एसएमईज की बात कर ली है जो कल बंद हो रही हैं, दिव्याधन, सहस्र, फोर्ज एंड नेक्सस. Maybe before we go ahead and अगली companies की बात करें, I understand we are slightly behind of time, but just wanted to ask this question to Tanmay, Rohit, both of you. I know yes doesn't apply in IPO, so not asking him the question, but what is your strategy? क्योंकि 4 और 5 Diffusion, Sahasra, Forge, Nexxus, Divyadhan, what are you planning to do? Maybe we can go forward to the next companies, but again, I understand this is a question which a lot of people will have. So anything, and again, I want to preset it by saying that we also are just normal people who apply, so do not go by our read, but just for everyone's interest, what you guys are planning to do.
So I have unfortunately used up all my funds in tech era. So I have very little funds left. I will be applying for the three of the 4 SMEs, except for Nexxus Petro. I'll apply for the other 3, which is Sahasra, Forge Auto, and Divyadhan. I will not be applying for Diffusion.
I am actually flush with funds. मतलब मैंने KRN में इतने अच्छे I haven't went FF in it and diffusion में भी I'm not मैं retail ही ज़्यादा prefer करूँगा. I'm actually going more into सहस्र और फोर्स ऑटो में भी थोड़ा लगा दूंगा. वन मोर इशू विच आई विल बी टेकिंग आफ्टर सम टाइम, उसमें भी मुझे थोड़ा इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है.
Got it. मेरा भी similar रहेगा. I will put a few retail applications across the board, Divyadhan, Forge, Sahasra, and Diffusion. If I still have money, I'll probably put them in Sahasra, hoping for a HNI allotment of some kind. But yeah, that's what we will be doing. With that, we have covered 5 IPOs. जो अगले 5 IPOs हैं, we'll cover them, and then व्हाट वील ऑल्सो डू इज कि हम लास्ट में ना मनबा फाइनेंस की लिस्टिंग की भी बात करेंगे, और उसके अलावा एक बार जो Hyundai का ई आईपीओ कहाँ के स्टेज पे है उसकी वेरी क्विकली बात करेंगे. बिफोर दैट जस्ट वांटेड टू सेट इट अप सेइंग दैट इफ यू हैव मिस्ड एनी ऑफ द इश्यूज, वी विल पुट इट ऑन आवर यूट्यूब. आप यूट्यूब चैनल पे जो कि मैंने ऊपर पिन कर रखा है उसको फॉलो कर सकते हो, और उसके अलावा हम चारों को फॉलो कर सकते हो. वी डू दिस एवरी वीक वेयर वी टॉक अबाउट द कंपनीज विच आर कमिंग अक्रॉस. And I was at an event today, Alpha Ideas का event था बॉम्बे में, where I met a lot of people. Again, very grateful for all the love that we got. The idea of starting this was just to understand and get better at it, reading some of the companies, but it's just helpful to know that a lot of people find it useful. So it's just wanted to thank all of you for kind of giving all the love that you guys gave today, and थैंक यू सो मच. मे बी विद दैट आई विल नाउ मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट कंपनी. मैं एक अगली कंपनी की बात करता हूँ जो कि मैं कवर कर रहा हूँ, साज होटल्स. ये फर्स्ट को क्लोज हो रही है. इट्स अ बिग बिग आईपीओ, 27 CR आईपीओ है, ऑल फ्रेश इशू है. बिग इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ, ऑल्दो 27 डजंट सीम लाइक बिग, बट कंसिडरिंग द कंपनी, all the history that it has gone through and what it does seem like a big sized IPO. And like, I didn't find much value in it. I'll be completely skipping the IPO, but I just wanted to make sure I kind of covered what the company does. So it's a 27 CR IPO, all fresh issue है, कोई anchor वगैरह नहीं है इसमें. So allocation should be rather easy if someone really wants to go for it. Although I couldn't really figure out why would someone want to do this. बट अगर मैं बात करूं कंपनी क्या करती है, तो कंपनी जो है वो रिजॉर्ट्स, विलास, रेंटल्स, रेस्टोरेंट्स वगैरह चलाती है. और कंपनी के ना 3 मेजर रिजॉर्ट्स हैं जिनको वो ऑपरेट करती है. एक महाबलेश्वर में है, साज ऑन द माउंटेन महाबलेश्वर करके, जिसमें ये क्लब महिंद्रा को दिया हुआ है रेंट पे. क्लब महिंद्रा से एक फिक्स एन्युटी रेंट आता है. उसके अलावा 2 और हैं, एक मालछेज में है, साज बाय द लेक, और एक साज इन द फॉरेस्ट पेंच करके एरिया है मध्य प्रदेश में. उसमें 78 रूम महाबलेश्वर वाला है, 35 रूम मालछेज वाला है, और 17 रूम जो है वो पेंच में है. और उसके अलावा कंपनी ने क्या किया है कि बीच बीच में ना काफी कुछ करने की कोशिश की है. इट्स अ ओल्ड कंपनी, कंपनी काफी टाइम से चल रही है. उनने साज विलास भी बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं वो गोवा में, जहाँ पे वो 2 BHK और 4 BHK ऑप्शंस बनाएंगे जहाँ पे लोग जाके रह सकें. और उसके अलावा कंपनी ने बीच में एक रेस्टोरेंट भी खोला था 2021 में, माहे नाम से. और उसको फिर 2 साल तक ऑपरेट किया, लेकिन उसके बाद उन्होंने उसको बंद कर दिया क्योंकि वो चला नहीं पाए उस वाले रेस्टोरेंट को. एंड उसके अलावा कंपनी ने एक माई ओन रूम्स डॉट इन प्राइवेट लिमिटेड करके कंपनी है, उसमें 50% इन्वेस्टमेंट भी कर रखा है, और उसके थ्रू भी ये मौजिम रिट्रीट करके गोवा का रिजॉर्ट है जिसको वो चलाते हैं. तो काफी सारी चीजें हो रही हैं कंपनी में, लेकिन इनका जो इफेक्ट है वो दिखता नहीं है, बिकॉज अगेन इट्स अ वेरी वेरी टफ इंडस्ट्री टू बी इन. इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्पिटिटिव इंडस्ट्री बिकॉज एंट्री बैरियर्स बहुत कम है. जैसे भी आपको दिखता है कि किसी का भी फर्स्ट प्रेफरेंस क्या होता है, अगर कुछ बिजनेस करना तो लोग बोलते हैं आप रेस्टोरेंट खोल लो. बिकॉज ऑफ दैट द मोर्टेलिटी रेट इन दिस इंडस्ट्री इज वेरी वेरी हाई. इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट, एंड ऑलमोस्ट एवरी टाइम पेरिशेबल प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं. और रेस्टोरेंट्स और जैसे ये होटल्स वगैरह भी होती हैं, इनमें जब तक ब्रांड बने एटलीस्ट तब तक लोग ऑक्यूपेंसी फिल करने में काफी ज्यादा स्ट्रगल करते हैं, विच this also sees. So on those factors as well, it seemed like a slightly difficult company to read, because it has such a long history of doing so many things but not being able to successful, closing a few down, then doing a few more things. It's very convoluted because of that. अगर मैं कंपनी के फाइनेंशियल्स की बात करूं, तो कंपनी ने जो है FY 22 में अराउंड FY 21 में 8 CR का टॉप लाइन किया था, FY 22 में 12 CR, FY 23 में 12 CR एंड FY 24 में इसने 14 CR का टॉप लाइन किया है। और जो बॉटम लाइन है वो FY 23 में 3.56 CR था, FY 24 में 3.45 CR का इनने बॉटम लाइन किया है, जो कि FY 23 से कम है। इसके लिए कंपनी ने बताया कि इनके कुछ रूम्स नॉन ऑपरेशनल हो गए थे इनके एक होटल में, बिकॉज कुछ बारिश ज्यादा हुई। आई थिंक इट वाज इन वन ऑफ द थ्री होटल्स दैट दे है, उसमें कुछ बारिश वगैरह ज्यादा हुई थी, जिसकी वजह से ये रूम्स जो थे नॉन ऑपरेशनल थे, बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे कुडंट डू वेल। बट अगेन, इवन इफ यू कंसिडर 3.45 एज द पैट जिसपे कंपनी आ रही है, 3.45 का आप पैट भी लेते हो तो उस हिसाब से भी कंपनी काफी महंगी है एट द कॉस्ट एट विच इट इज कमिंग, क्योंकि कंपनी ने जो अपनी मार्केट कैप लगाई है वो 104 करोड़ की लगाई है, तो उस हिसाब से कंपनी लगभग लगभग 30 के पीई पे आ रही है। सो 30 का पी, given that it's a, like I don't understand where the नेक्स्ट फेज ऑफ ग्रोथ विल कम इन। हम बात करता हूँ एक बार, हाँ उसकी बात कर लेते हैं कि कंपनी पैसे रेस क्यों कर रही है। सो कंपनी जो है वो 17 करोड़ रुपए रेस कर रही है कैपेक्स करने के लिए, और 4 करोड़ रेस कर रही है वर्किंग कैपिटल को कम करने के लिए। सो जो 17 करोड़ का कैपेक्स है उससे बेसिकली ये लोग ना 20 नए कमरे बनाएंगे मालछेज वाली प्रॉपर्टी में, जिसमें 10 करोड़ रुपए लगेंगे, और पेंच वाली प्रॉपर्टी में 26 नए कमरे लगेंगे बनाएंगे, जिसमें 10 करोड़ रुपए लगेंगे। बट अगेन दिस विल बी लॉन्गर ड्यूरेशन टाइम्स, राइट, क्योंकि वो रूम बनेंगे, उसके बाद उनका रेवेन्यू आएगा, उससे वो आईपीओ प्राइस यूज होगा। सो अंटिल देन द कंपनी विल प्रीटी मच स्टार्ट like doing similar things only. So company already 30 PE पे आ रही है, so सब कुछ factored in है, there's not a lot which you could see from these companies, right? और कंपनी ने जैसे अपने जो 2 PE दिखाए हैं वो भी रॉयल मैन्योर और जिंदल होटल्स को दिखाया है, जो कि 19 PE और 30 PE पे है। सो ऑलरेडी सब कुछ फैक्टर्ड इन है, ग्रोथ जो नेक्स्ट आएगी भी तो काफी दूर आएगी। सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट didn't seem like a very interesting issue to me. इनफैक्ट ये कॉर्पविस का एडवाइजर्स करके एक कंपनी है, उसका वो एलएम है इनका, कॉर्पविस एडवाइजर्स का इशू है। इससे पहले 2 इशू आ चुके हैं, एलुविंड आया था इससे पहले इनका, और अभी अभी जियांग ग्लोबल आया था, बोथ listed flat, because of which again I don't expect this to do any fireworks as such, but this is what my read of साज होटल्स was। तो इसके साथ हमने ना 6th जो कंपनी है वो भी कवर कर ली है, साज होटल्स, और हम आगे बढ़ते हैं। इसमें ना फर्स्ट को एक और इशू क्लोज हो रहा है, HVAX टेक्नोलॉजीज। सो HVAX टेक्नोलॉजीज की बात कर लेते हैं। इट्स अ 33 CR आईपीओ, 33 करोड़ का आईपीओ है HVAX टेक्नोलॉजीज। और जो कंपनी है उसके बारे में अगर मैं बताऊं तो द कंपनी एसेंशियली प्रोवाइड्स टर्नकी ईपीसी सॉल्यूशंस एक्सेट्रा। सो maybe let's go ahead and try and understand about HVAX technology. Yash, do you want to go ahead and talk about HVAX technologies?
Yes, sure, Manish. So HVAX Technology is engaged in the business of technical projects, engineering, procurement of controlled environment infrastructure and clean rooms, in which they designs clean room filtration systems, HVAC systems. They build management systems. Then they work. They also install electrical systems in any of the manufacturing facilities. They also have utilities, generation and distribution systems, and one another thing which they have is containment systems. So basically, the company is into all these things. The sector to me does not look much attractive in terms of what valuation the market will give the company. End users of this, all the products which company offers is pharma companies, chemical companies, and hospitals. Order book as of 1st August is 153 crores. One another thing which I don't like in few of these companies is they are asking for 21 crores to fund their working capital requirements, because the company has not been able to convert their profits into cash. I think last 3 years का cash flow भी negative है, operating cash flow, and profits दिखा रही है company, although margins उनके very ऊपर नीचे करके इंक्रीज डिक्रीज हुआ है, बट दैट इज फाइन बिकॉज ओवरऑल इंडस्ट्री का नेट प्रॉफिट मार्जिन इतना स्लॉपी है. दैट शुड नॉट बी द इशू. द ओनली इशू विद मी इज कि इनका अभी करंट कैपेसिटी क्या कर सकते हैं, ऑल्दो इस बिजनेस में कैपेसिटी हम डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट यूटिलाइजेशन दे आर रनिंग एट, बट हाउ मच एट ऑप्टिमम लेवल्स विद द साइज ऑफ दिस वर्किंग कैपिटल कितना वो स्केल कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि पिछले 3 साल से कैश तो बिजनेस में आया नहीं है, तो वो एक इशू है। आई थिंक वैल्यूएशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से डिसेंटली वैल्यूड कंपनी है। टॉप लाइन बॉटम लाइन अच्छे से इंक्रीज हुआ है, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी मार्जिन्स भी ठीक ही हैं विद रिस्पेक्ट टू ऑल द पीयर्स, ऑर्डर बुक भी ठीक है। द ओनली इशू टू मी इज कि ये अभी कैश जनरेट नहीं कर रहा है, तो ऐसा ना हो कि भाई 6 महीने बाद फिर बोले कि मेरे को फंड रेस चाहिए एंड डाइल्यूशन कर दे, प्रेफ रेस करे या कुछ भी। तो आई थिंक पर्सनली आई लाइक टू स्किप दिस इशू, उतना एक्साइटिंग नहीं लग रहा है मेरे को।
Got it. मे बी जस्ट अ कपल मोर पॉइंटर्स फ्रॉम माय साइड। इसमें क्या है, ये दोनों इश्यूज ना फर्स्ट को क्लोज्ड है, साज होटल और HVAX टेक्नोलॉजीज, और फर्स्ट को और कुछ नहीं है। एंड फर्स्ट को काफी सारा अमाउंट अनब्लॉक होगा जो ये KRN वगैरह वाला फंसा है, तो ये दोनों इश्यूज होंगे तो सब्सक्राइब ज्यादा। Just be careful. Maybe I would say HVAX Tech is a better play than Saj if you really have to choose. And in fact, on that note, Tanmay, did you have anything to cover on Saj Hotels? Was there any point which you felt
यस, वन
interesting?
पॉइंट मतलब मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा कि जो हुआ प्रोस्पेक्टस जो RHP था उसमें बहुत ज्यादा डेटा गलत हुए थे और उनको अडेंडम देना पड़ा था, कोरिजेंडम देना पड़ा था डेटा ठीक करने के लिए। मतलब कंपनी अच्छी हो बुरी, मुझे ये चीजें बिल्कुल पर्सनली पसंद नहीं आती। सो पर मैंने थोड़ी चीजें देखी, आई पर्सनली फील कि अगर इसके ऊपर कंप्लेंट रेस किए गए तो इसका ट्रैफिक सोल्व होने में टाइम नहीं लगेगा। तो मेरे हिसाब से तो इसको बिल्कुल छोड़ देना चाहिए, लिस्टिंग में जो हो नहीं लेना है छोड़ देना है, बिल्कुल स्किप करना है।
Got it. Perfect. And that was what our read was with respect to the sixth SME that we have covered. And again, इसके साथ ना 1 तारीख तक की जो SMEs आ रही हैं वो सब complete हो जाती हैं. We will move on and maybe talk about 3 more issues, last 3 issues, and we are running slightly behind on time, so please bear with us. It's just that it's a massive episode where we're doing 10 companies in one go. So thank you for bearing with us on that. But maybe we'll now move forward to Paramount Dye Tec Limited. Paramount Dye Tec Limited की कंपनी की बात कर लेते हैं. Just to highlight, and again we'll try and keep it short, but this is a 28 CR issue. कंपनी जो है वो 28 CR रेस कर रही है, and is a yarn producer by recycling waste, synthetic fiber, etc. So Rohit, do you want to go ahead and talk about Paramount Dye Tec? Again, this seemed like an interesting company, but I haven't really read too far in the pipeline to read about it. So what did you feel about it?
Yeah, so I'll quickly cover what they do and then I'll share my view as well. As you mentioned, they specialize in the manufacturing of yarns where they recycle waste synthetic fiber. So synthetic waste is, just think of other B2B synthetic fiber companies that make virgin fibers and virgin yarn. They will have some waste, or say clothes makers who will have some cuttings that are left over, clippings that are left over. They take all of that waste. I think typically 3 to 4% of the production gets wasted in this kind of industry. And they take all of that waste from these sources and then they recycle that. And what they claim is they have figured out a way, a process and a technology, that is with the right use of machines and a process, to convert this waste back into synthetic fiber. So that I found quite interesting. We saw a couple of companies, even Divyadhan does something like this, but they do that with PET bottles. There are a bunch of players that do this with, plastics, that is the physical plastics that you see, plastic waste. This is the first company that I'm seeing that does this directly from other synthetic fiber. And I say first I'm seeing in the IPO space. I mean, I'm sure there are many companies that do this, but I couldn't find any direct peer at least. They do two things. They first make the fiber itself from the waste material, and then they convert that fiber back to yarn. They have different kinds of yarn, acrylic yarn and hand knitted yarn and a bunch of types of yarn. Today, this product that they make is a bit seasonal, which is they're used mainly for winter wear fabric only. So you can imagine that H2 will be much stronger than a H1. But they do intend to get into summer wear as well going forward, and they're doing a lot of capacity upgrade and capacity change to get into this. They do a mix of trading and manufacturing, but they've ramped up the manufacturing percentage significantly. Now 60% of their revenue is manufacturing, up from like 20% 2 years ago. And they are currently nearly fully utilized. They're raising their funds for capex expansion. They will almost triple their capacity, or 2.7, 2.8x their capacity, and that capacity will be ready by I think March of 25, which is the beginning of FY26. You can say it will be fully available. They have decent numbers, solid numbers. Their top line has gone from 46 crore to 53 crore, but you have to see that the trading revenue in that has actually fallen a lot, and the manufacturing revenue has grown a lot. So the quality of the revenue has improved significantly. Their PAT has almost doubled, and they're doing almost 12% PAT, which is again a function, I feel, of this very innovative source of raw material. The raw material being this recycled fiber, as opposed to just buying cotton or the getting the sort of virgin fibers. Given this growth in manufacturing, their P&L actually looks very believable, and their margins look sustainable. The cash flows and their balance sheet looked fine to me, as in I didn't find anything of concern there. The company is coming at an 82 crore market cap, and interestingly, they have land in their book worth 25 crore. So, I mean, already the asset base is so large that at 82 crore market cap, it's not very difficult to give it a value of 82 crore market cap, in my view. This concept, like I mentioned, is the only player I could find doing this in this space. There are peers like your Divyadhan and Rudra Eco, Ganesha Eco, and all, which trade at 60, 70, 80 P. They do it from PET bottles to yarn. These guys are doing from synthetic waste to yarn. So in my view, that's not too different. I find this space quite interesting. Cost savings are there, margins are there. This company in one of the interviews had said that once this new factory is ready, they basically can double their bottom line. So I feel FY26, sometime towards maybe even H2 of FY26, they will reach that capacity, because today they are generating 3x the fiber as the yarn that they're able to produce. And this capacity that they're setting up will allow them to fully consume the fiber that they're producing. And that will translate directly into their bottom line. So I think this is actually a pretty cheap company coming at 12 point something P. Only thing is you'll have to wait for FY25. Possibly FY25 will not be very great. But as soon as the new capacity comes, this company, I feel, is really onto something. So if there is a little bit of time that someone can give, or maybe wait a little bit and enter after a few months, this could be a very interesting company in a very interesting segment. I feel this is coming at around 5, 6, 7 P on FY26 numbers. So, and the other probably one interesting thing is this anchor had a new name, this fund called TGI SME, which is the fund of Ajay Thakur, who is the guy behind the BSE SME platform, and the guy who's responsible for all of these SME, in a way, for all of these SMEs coming for IPOs, and just the power of the SME platform itself that our exchanges have. So interesting to see his name in the anchors. So yeah, overall, I actually think this company can be applied. It looked pretty good to me.
Thanks, Rohit. So this issue closes on the 3rd of October. 3rd October को ये issue close होगा. जो पैसा first को लगाएंगे वो third को use नहीं होगा, because second is a holiday. So keep that in mind. And maybe it's a good idea to skip the two issues that you have on first and try and apply for this, especially considering जो third को दूसरा issue है Shubham Paper. Again, that I am slightly conflicted on. I remember मैंने ही डाला था ये tweet कि पेपर की कंपनी है, 93 CR का इशू है, and considering current segment, current sentiment for the markets, I am not very sure on what the listing could look like. But again, maybe now that I have set it up, Subam Paper की बात करते हैं, which essentially is a 93.7 CR fresh issue. And it is also closing on 3rd of October, and the company, as I said, manufactures craft paper and paper products. So, Tanmay, do you want to go ahead and talk about Shubham Paper? With that, we would have covered the 8 out of the 9 SMEs. इसके बाद 9th की बात करेंगे, और उसके बाद listing strategy के बारे में थोड़ी बात.
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
So Shubham Papers Limited is a manufacturer of craft papers and paper products, but they don't go for the raw paper. Okay, they manufacture from the waste paper. It is their core raw material. So they have a capacity of 93,600 craft tons per annum of craft papers, and a duplex board of 47,200 tons per annum. So this company is basically raising 93.7 crore, out of which they are spending 75 crores for capex and 18.7 crore GCP. So the capex is intended to double the capacity, and the company management is expecting the new facility to get commenced in October of 25. मतलब इसका 2-3 महीने तो लाइन सेटअप होने में लग जाएंगे. मतलब जो Q4 आएगा ये साल का FY25 का Q4 उसी में इम्पैक्ट दिखेगा. So I will just come on its financials. FY23 it did a revenue of 510 crores, but it recorded a net loss of 26 lakhs. And in FY24 the revenue dropped by 2%, 497 crore per revenue, but PAT came at 33 crore from 26 lakhs net loss. So I'll just tell one thing, that there was a call 2 or 3 days back. There was IPO meet, and there was a situation where I was the only speaker with the promoter. I think Bala, his name was Bala, the promoter. So I had asked him 8 to 9 questions. That my first was like, why did the financials jump by that? You were in net losses in FY23, and how you are suddenly net profits of 33 crores. So what the management said was that the prices, actually they were importing the waste papers from USA. So what the guy said, that the raw material cost had doubled to $300, and so our raw material prices, which was our waste paper, got heavily impacted, and it impacted our margins. But since the same time, in Europe, the waste paper had fell from $150 to $90. But that time, there is an organization in Europe that they didn't want it. They were not, I think, ready to export their waste paper. But I think there is now decision, so they can now import from Europe. And I had asked them multiple questions. I will just tell that what questions I had asked them. So the second one was, what are you expecting next year? The management said clearly we will be doubling our profit after tax in FY25. Clearly they had said. So then I'll just come to its market cap, 353 crores market cap. It is coming at a P of 10.7x. Okay, and see, now I had asked them many questions, like they had a good revenue from the related party transactions. So the person replied that we have one more company which does the trading of the boards. Okay, duplex boards. So what they do is they take the duplex boards from Subam Papers and give it to the corporate clients. I think he used Britannia is their largest client from that related sister entity. So they give that to Britannia, and Subam gives it to that entity of the promoter, and they do that trading, taking the margins out. One more, I had asked that there is a 25 crore GST demand on the company. So I had asked that, is the litigation material? The management has said that there is no such litigation at this point. There was, but we have already sorted that. There is no nothing expected or that will be impacting the company. So I had asked that, are you assuring that there will be no issues? He said, yes, there will be no issues. We are giving the assurance. One thing I had asked, that their working capital requirements were going to heavily increase. They are projecting good revenue growth and 2x PAT growth. So the company said that we have already made a bank facility from that. We have already raised some debt and we will be raising some more. And one more thing was, the promoter T. Balakumar was one of the independent directors in Jai Bharat Mills, which got, I think its trading was stopped in 2019 from the exchanges, and suspension was done, and investors had lost the money badly. I'll now just come to its anchor book. Anchor book was okay, and there are good pre-IPO investors in it. We have the name of Guna Jain, the pre-IPO investor, but he had invested at 40 to 45% discount to the IPO price. So overall, if I come and if I see what the management is projecting next year, the P is close to 6. Okay, 5.56. And the peers, if I take that JK paper, which is I think 10-15 times greater size of the company, they are trading at 6.5 times. The industry average is around 7 times. So I feel the company is priced, but the management had said that we will be doing 1,000 crore revenue in next 2 years. So I casually asked him that why didn't the company opted to go for a Mainboard IPO of 150 crores next year? The management replied that we didn't want our debt to equity ratio go beyond 1 because we are going to raise further debt for working capital. I think it doesn't make that sense, but okay, a reasonable answer to it. So I feel if I went to the paper industry, which the stocks came in the past, none of the companies had even made some money. So I personally feel, but seeing if management is saying that we will be doubling our pattern, he said 2-3 times very confidently. openly said. I think 2-3 people of the call would have also attended that shortly. So I feel there can be 20 to 30% listing gains, but considering the large size 93.7 crore, it is risky, but I feel it can give some gains. LM is Greatex. I think no negative listing from last minute. His last IPO was Rapid Multimodal, not 30% below issue price, but it listed well. And many sim is listed at 90%, some at 60-70%. So I feel a person who can take a small risk of 5-10% discount can apply this. There are very good allotment chances in it. But yes, surely there is a risk underlining to your application.
Agreed. काफी similar view था मेरा भी at a very high level. There will be risk underlying, even though the GMP would be flying for this issue. GMP ज़्यादा होगा, but there would be risk underlying, especially considering the sector has been on a slightly downturn. So be careful while applying for this IPO. I'll just say that there's still time. ये जो issue है ये third
I
को close हो
just
रहा है.
missed one point. I'll just cover that. The management has said one thing, that we are going to launch a new app like an e-commerce platform. So what we are thinking is, now that the company is currently importing their raw material, which is the waste paper from now they are saying in FY24 5 we will go with Europe and some part with USA, which have already agreed to those suppliers. So they are saying that we will be making our own app, which will get which will get launched later this year, means calendar year 24 के end में they will go live in it. So the people will provide them waste papers to the app and they will get rewarded. So what this company is saying, that we will have our own supply chain which will be independently exclusive for themselves, and they can reduce the cost and bring their gross margins and margins up. So मतलब I am mocking like them, 10% profit margins possible है क्या? He said if the plans went well, they are pretty possible. I personally feel कि इन्होंने 30% revenue growth भी कर लिया और 8% तक भी margins किया, तो the PAT growth and the number he gave is okay, but the thing is execution. The raw material costs are highly fluctuating in this industry. कभी इनका पैट नेगेटिव चला जाएगा, कभी 10% आ जाएगा, we don't know. थोड़ा सा रिस्की है, बट आई थिंक अगर if I consider all the risks and the मतलब जो कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ मैनेजमेंट बात कर रहा है, फील इट्स अ डिसेंट इशू. मतलब लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए तो नहीं, बट आई फील लिस्टिंग बन सकता है इसके अंदर.
Got it. Again, मेरा point वो है कि app in itself is a like easy to say, very difficult to do. Creating distribution takes a lot of effort. And उसमें ना वो GMP margin बनता नहीं है. Although on paper it feels a good idea. So again, be careful and read more about it. As I said, third में अभी time है. So maybe closer to the date also we'll kind of cover our view as we understand and read more about the company. But yeah, that is what our read was with respect to Subam Paper. Maybe with that, I will go ahead and talk about one last company which is coming, and this should be rather quick. Neopolitan Pizza की बात करते हैं. I am going to avoid this issue, but at a very very high level, it's a 12 CR issue. 12 करोड़ कंपनी रेस कर रही है, around 34 CR मार्केट, 74 की मार्केट, बहुत ही छोटी सी मार्केट करोड़ कैप पे कंपनी 12 करोड़ लिस्ट हो चुकी. तो कंपनी जो है उनने ना अपना 2014 में लिस्टिंग कराई थी, एंड उसके बाद 2018 में दे गॉट डी लिस्टेड. So be very careful. And again, I feel that जो कंपनी एक बार delist हो चुकी है doesn't make sense. But even if I have to go ahead and read and talk about the company is a trading company. It's not a pizza chain company. I'll kind of talk about कंपनी के 21 QSR है, जो 21 रेस्टोरेंट है ऑन पेपर, बट उनमें से जो 19 है वो फ्रेंचाइजी ऑपरेटेड है. और जो ही इशू है, दो ही जो रेस्टोरेंट है वो मेजर है. एक कंपनी का खुद का ओन्ड है और एक फ्रेंचाइजी का ओन्ड है, पर दोनों कंपनी ऑपरेट करती है. और उसके अलावा 19 है वो फ्रेंचाइजी ऑपरेटेड है. अगर मैं टोटल उन 21 के 21 रेस्टोरेंट से कुल मिला के बात कर लूं, तो टोटल जो रेवेन्यू आता है कंपनी को, वो ही कुल मिला के 3.5 आता है. सो बहुत ही छोटा कंपनी का रेवेन्यू है. जस्ट टू सेट इट अप, कंपनी का टोटल रेवेन्यू 44 CR है इन FY24. सो बस 3.5 करोड़ ही कंपनी का वो इन सोर्स वगैरह से आ रहा है. पिज्जा द कंपनी मोस्ट जब कंपनी इज अ पिज्जा चेन, बाकी सब जो ट्रेडिंग करते हैं विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू जो फूड मटेरियल एक्सेट्रा, उनसे आ रहा है। एंड उसमें भी अगर आप बात करोगे तो 21 रेस्टोरेंट में से मेजर रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम दोस टू रेस्टोरेंट्स, एंड जो बाकी 19 फ्रेंचाइजी ओन फ्रेंचाइजी ऑपरेटेड क्यूएसआर है, उन टोटल रेवेन्यू जो कंपनी को मिला है, तो कुछ कमीशन बेसिस पे मिलता होगा, वो 36 लाख रुपए है, जस्ट 36 लाख रुपए। सो बेसिकली साल का रेवेन्यू अराउंड 1.5 लाख रुपए मिल रहा है कंपनी को एक एक स्टोर से। सो इट डजंट सीम लाइक इन्वेस्टेबल एट ऑल ऑन दैट बेसिस। अगर फिर भी मैं बात करूँ तो कंपनी जो है वो आईपीओ करने की कोशिश कर रही है, को नए स्टोर खोलने, 25 नए स्टोर खोलने की बात कर रहे हैं, बट की कंपनी एक बार डीलिस्ट हो चुकी है। और जो है मेजर जो है इस साल FY24 में 2 करोड़ का, लेकिन FY23 20 करोड़ ही किया था, so काफी बड़ा जंप है। सो अगेन दैट जस्ट डजंट सिट वेल विथ मी कंसीडरिंग हाउ इट हैज like been delisted in the past as well, because of which it just seemed a very easy avoid to me. Company sold. I do very well because of just the small size. उसकी वजह से हो सकता है stock. Again, I don't want to be stuck at some kinds. Which I am. This is what we we have kind of covered that are coming up. Maybe now I will go back to Tanmay and just want to check with you, Tanmay. Any high level, without giving anything specific, Manba Finance reviews or anything which you guys want to talk about. Maybe with that, I'll also I'll just let you guys know कि अगर आपके पास कोई भी question हो with respect to the 10 companies that we have covered today, please post them in the chat. I'll try and take them. And also, like, I see a lot of questions with respect to Rapid or something like that. We usually don't talk about shares which are already listed, so because of which we'll not do YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel and talk about Manba Finance first, then maybe towards Hyundai. I can't hear you, Tanmay. Rohit, can you hear
आवाज
me?
आ रहा है क्या सर? थोड़ा नेटवर्क चेंजेस आ गए मेरे।
हाँ, I can hear you now, Tanmay. Go on.
मैं पहले तो एक नियोपोलिटन पिज्जा पे एक चीज कवर करना चाहूंगा कि इन्होंने पहले लिखा था कि जो इशू ऑब्जेक्ट इशू दैट वी वांट टू स्टार्ट 25 न्यू क्यूएसआर रेस्टोरेंट्स। इन्होंने कल एडेंडम फाइल किया है और उन्होंने 25 का घटा के 16 या 18 कर दिया है। तो मतलब मुझे चीज समझी नहीं कि ये क्यों करना पड़ा इनको 16 से 18। और दूसरी चीज कि मतलब क्या एलएम देखो इनका कुछ नहीं, मतलब टर्न अराउंड नाम है उसका, टर्न अराउंड हो तो नहीं पा रहा है, उससे कोई इश्यूज उसका चल नहीं रहा है। और आई थिंक वन मोर आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकॉल इस, और कुछ तो भी था इसमें, तो 2-3 चीजें बहुत ज्यादा मुझे खटकी इसके अंदर। तो हाँ, इसका कस्टमर रिव्यू भी बहुत खराब है, मतलब वडोदरा बेस्ड कंपनी, और आई हैव टेकन द ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट, बहुत खराब रिव्यूज है। तो पर्सनली मेरे को अवॉइड लगता है, शुभ बिल्कुल जाना नहीं इसकी तरफ। आई पर्सनली फील कि ये जो -5 to +5% बहुत टाइप पे डिलिस्ट होगा, ये कहाँ पे ऊपर नीचे जाने नहीं वाला। हाँ, वेलकम टू द मनबा फाइनेंस। मतलब ना ये कंपनी की ना हाइप बहुत ज्यादा बनी थी बिकॉज द प्रमोटर केम एंड टॉक्ड ऑन द प्रॉफिट्स एंड AUM विद सम सिलेक्टिव HNI इंडिविजुअल्स। एंड मतलब इनका अगर देखोगे ना एक चीज, तो इनका ARC में 12 करोड़ का इन्होंने प्रॉफिट रियलाइज किया था। बट इफ आई टेक दैट AUM एंड जस्ट एड अप देयर NPS, द रेशियोज सीम्स वर्स्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री। इनसे बुरा 2018 में बंधन बैंक भी नहीं था। वर्स्ट, इससे बुरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता। तो आई पर्सनली फील कि मतलब आई एम नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग एनीथिंग ऑन दिस कंपनी फ्रॉम लिस्टिंग। बट आई फील दैट ये लिस्टिंग के बाद इंप्रूवमेंट आएगा कंपनी में, बट लिस्टिंग का मेरे को कोई दिखता नहीं। दूसरा चीज, Hyundai में बहुत ही ज्यादा प्रेशर आया है रिसेंटली। द प्रीमियम सुपर आई थिंक 700 वेंट टिल 1050, 970 पे ट्रेड्स भी हुए थे। अभी आई थिंक 405 रुपीज पे सेलर बैठा है। तो बहुत ही ज्यादा प्रेशर है। एंड मतलब See, India has not witnessed any IPO whose size is about 10,000 crore, which has delivered any listing. वोडाफोन आइडिया का एफपीओ अगर मैं छोड़ दूं, वो भी 40% था, बाद में चला गया, तो नो कंपनी has delivered. I personally feel this company and IPO will do well. एंड ये भी चीज है कि इनका प्राइस बैंड और डिक्लेयर होने को कम से कम 12 से 14 दिन है, तो आई थिंक इट इज वेरी नेसेंट टू टॉक ऑन द आईपीओ. वो सब है. वन
Got
मोर
it.
थिंग सर, कल की दोनों एसएमए लिस्टिंग्स भी है ना?
Yes.
बोथ आर गुड कंपनीज. ओके, रैपिड एंड गोल्ड बोथ शुड डू वेल.
Yeah, it's just that IPO price पे ना they make sense. It's just that at listing price you don't know, right? So maybe with that we'll kind of leave at that, not talk about anything specific. Hyundai की जरूर मैं बोलूंगा कि again very very nascent right now. So just stick around. We will come back to maybe जब next episode करेंगे तो उसमें भी जितना भी update हुआ होगा वो update देंगे on Hyundai, and also talk about what all next IPOs are coming. Again, October is going to be very 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 busy in terms of IPO that are planned. I feel 8th के बाद there will be a list of IPOs which will come up, starting with FCon. So definitely be on the watch out, be on the lookout. There will be a lot of good IPOs which will come. Definitely keep subscribing, keep following us, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tanmay, do you want to give a very quick sneak peek of some of the IPOs to expect in October? I know we were also creating a thread with respect to that, so we'll post that as well. But if you want to do that right now is a good time, and then we end the episode.
एफकॉन से मंथ की शुरुआत होगी. एफकॉन से आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अगले 3-4 दिन में आरएसपी आ जाएगा. अच्छा इशू, अच्छा ही नहीं है, सॉरी, बड़े साइज का इशू है, अच्छा नहीं बोलूंगा. 8400 करोड़ का इशू है. 35-40% इक्विटी डायल्यूशन. आई फील हैनोक्स ग्रीन के बाद इतना डायल्यूशन पहली बार हो रहा है. वैल्यूएशन बहुत महंगा कह सकते हैं. 50-55 के पी पे एक्सपेक्टेड है, 90 से 40-50% प्रीमियम पे. एंड ठीक है, 450 करोड़ पे 22,000 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप एक्सपेक्ट कर रही कंपनी. थोड़ा सा लग रहा है. फिर उसके बाद वी हैव वारी, ह्यूंडई, 2-3 और अच्छे इशू है. एंड आई थिंक वन शुड बी रेडी विद द फंड्स, बिकॉज सब एक साथ नहीं आने वाले. एक दो छोटी छोटी कंपनी सबके साथ आएगी, तो 2-3 आई पे साथ है, तो यू शुड नॉट बी लाइक इसका प्रीमियम ज्यादा है बट इसमें अलॉटमेंट है, तुम्हें कहाँ पे लगाओ. यू शुड बी रेडी विद बोथ. सो वही है. एंड आई थिंक 2-3 वेरी गुड एसएमईज. एक तो बहुत अच्छा और बड़ा एसएमई भी है. नेक्स्ट मंथ आई थिंक इट्स expected to get flashed with a very good company, a Mainboard IPO. तो be ready with funds.
काफी प्री आईपीओ में हॉट है वो एसएमई, बट या वील टॉक अबाउट इट व्हेन इट कम्स अप. नो पॉइंट बिल्डिंग अप टू इट, बट या थैंक यू सो मच guys for joining this call. If you guys have any questions, let me try and see if I can see any questions in the chat. um, Sorry, I haven't taken any questions today. मैं अब देख रहा हूँ काफी सारे questions है. Maybe we'll try and do a few questions. उसका उन पे reply कर देंगे हम, which are relevant to these episodes. We'll try and reply to whatever we can see. But yeah, thank you so much guys for joining this episode. And we will see you back next episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.